Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week, I invite you to slow down and join me to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Well, guys, our Simplified shipping deadline for the holidays is coming up on December 7th. That is just a couple of days away if you are listening to this episode right when it comes out. So make sure that you get your orders in. And if you are looking to get your new 2023 Simplified planner, make sure you get that order in really soon too, so you can start it just as soon as the new year rolls around. Well, let me tell you a story. It was 1:30 in the morning last November, and there was no way I was going back to sleep. I was lying awake thinking about a pastor I had met that week. She was doing the most beautiful work in Pensacola. She fed hundreds of people each week out of a tiny building, and if someone ate at her table and didn't have an ID, she would help them get one. Side note, I have always taken having an ID for granted. It's such a small thing to me because it was easy for me to get. When I turned 16, I could get a driver's license. That was no problem because my parents kept my birth certificate on file for things like that. They trained me on how to drive. So because of their preparation on my behalf, I could get a driver's license without a single issue. But that's not the case for a lot of people. After meeting Pastor Tisdale, I can see that having an ID is like having a ticket to live in this country. Without an ID, you can't get a job. You can't get a birth certificate. You can't get a social security card. Without an ID, you're kind of locked out of society. And here comes Pastor Tisdale, giving every person a key, along with a hot meal, a hug, and a reminder that they matter and that they aren't alone in the world. I literally couldn't believe everything Pastor Tisdale was doing with such a small but mighty team who cared in a big way. Also with small but mighty resources. And as I laid in my bed that night, or that morning at 1:30, I felt this need, like this calling that if I really thought about it, there was like a lot of big and small ways that I could help. And this happens to me sometimes. I think it's God trying to get my attention. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I need someone to help me break away from the laser focus I have on my routine and lift my eyes to see where I could be his hands and feet. So the kids and I decided that we wanted to help Pastor Tisdale however we could. We helped her hand out meals to the friends she serves, and then the kids went home and they emptied $98 from their piggy banks because they were determined to give what little they had to help people they had never met also. My mama heart swelled 3 times its size that day. You should have seen these kids. They were so excited that they could help their neighbors in need, even with a small gift. Okay, $98 can feel small to us adults, but it was definitely not small to the kids. Do you know how long it took them to earn $98 between the 3 of them? And now they feel so tethered to the Epps Christian Center. That's where Pastor Tisdale does all of her amazing work. They feel invested in the community in a way that they never have before. I want them to remember that feeling. I want them to remember what it feels like to see a need and meet a need, to make a tangible investment in their community, whether it's through their resources or even through their time. Because when we help our kids develop that giving muscle, it has so many benefits for everyone. Our community gets junior citizens who intentionally look for ways to help other people who live there also. And my 3 little givers get to see how fulfilling it is to be part of something larger than yourself. I know this time of year we're focused on giving our kids a lot of stuff because it's so fun. It's fun to watch their eyes light up as they rip apart the wrapping paper and pull out the item they've wanted for months, the item that you've saved up to get them. And as a mom with a lot of plates to spin, it's also fun to just, click add to cart and make the magic happen. But in addition to all the fun presents we give them this holiday season, I wonder if we try to give our kids another kind of gift too. I wonder if we give our kids the gift of becoming people who love to give to others. You mamas and aunts and teachers and grandmas listening right now, I bet you're probably already doing this. You know how I know? Because I have already seen your generosity at work. I have watched you give to your Simplified sisters in need. I've watched you answer each other's questions and help each other out in our Instagram community and in our Facebook group. I see how loving and giving you are all the time, so I'm pretty confident to say that your generosity spills over to your kids and the communities where you live. But if you're like me, you welcome new ideas on how something can be done. You might want a few ways to think about how to keep raising kids who love to give to other people, whether those kids are your own, or your nieces and nephews, or your grandkids, or just the kids who are dear to you. So I've got a few ways that might help you do just that. Number one, make giving your time and resources to other people a normal thing that kids can see. The lessons we teach our kids in a caught, not taught kind of way are more powerful than any lesson they'll learn on a whiteboard. And if giving is woven into the fabric of your family, it'll be woven into the hearts of your children too. That's just kind of how it goes. So try to make giving a regular part of your family's life. You don't have to call a lot of attention to it, like, look at us, we're giving. I just think it's more effective when you invite kids to participate in the good work you're doing. Maybe you like to give to a particular organization around the holidays, a place that's doing good in the world. So why don't you make this a family activity? You could search for a few organizations with missions that speak to your heart and ask your kids to choose one that your family will give to. You could choose a range of organizations that do all kinds of things. That'll make it a little more fun for kids to choose which one gets their vote. Maybe you choose something local that helps people in your town. Maybe it's a place where people come to be fed and loved, maybe even find a shower and get access to other kinds of services to help them live. Or maybe it's an animal shelter or Big Brothers Big Sisters chapter. Try to explain how each organization helps the people and animals who live right in your town. Then ask your kids how they'd like to help that organization. Would they like to give their money to help? Or if they're old enough, would they like to volunteer their time? Once the kids choose how they'd like to help, make sure you show them in a few months how their generosity has made an impact. And this is a big deal, letting them see the giving from start to finish. Did their money help build a new place for people to come and get their hot meals? Then take them to go see that building. Maybe they chose to read to shelter dogs, which not only helps kids to practice their reading out loud skills, it also helps the dogs have a friend before they get adopted into a new home. Then go back and take them to the shelter to see how many of their furry friends went to loving homes. If kids decided to collect cans for a food drive, bring them along when you donate those cans to the food bank. I guarantee you the staff of these organizations will be thrilled to see your kids wanting to be a big help. For your family, maybe giving is a reflex you have when you see something that breaks your heart. Maybe you keep a couple backpacks filled with socks, water, snacks, and hygiene items in your car for people who don't have a place to sleep that night. Or when a natural disaster strikes, maybe you automatically give to the Red Cross. While kids can feel powerless in those moments, you can remind them to look for the helpers and show them that they can help the helpers with a small gift, even from afar. Number two, when you teach your kids how to use their money, make sure giving is a part of it. Okay, so this is pretty low-hanging fruit, you guys, and I bet you're doing this already. But teaching kids to have categories like spend, save, give when it comes to their money is an easy way to teach them that giving is a super important part of the way we use our resources. The percentages are all up to you, of course, but just like we talked about, the more you can get kids to participate in the giving process, the more excited they'll be about it. So talk to them and see how they'd like to use their giving money. Maybe they could send a small donation each month to their favorite nonprofit. Maybe they could change up which nonprofit they give to each month to keep it fun. Or maybe they could save up their giving money and give it all to one organization in one big gift at the end of the year. Help them decide what their giving strategy is and then help them execute it. And don't be shy. Talk to them about places where you like to give. Do you give to an organization like St. Jude's that helps kids who are sick? Tell them why. Do you give to your local library foundation to make sure your community has easy access to information and other resources? Again, tell them why. As your kids get older, the more good they can see happening around the world, the more hopeful they'll be as they grow into agents of change and forces for good. If you're spending time with loved ones for the holidays, chances are you're going to hear a lot of stories. The ones you love to hear, the ones you've heard, maybe too many times. But have you ever wanted to help your loved ones document those timeless stories? It can be challenging to write an entire book of life memories, but Storyworth makes it fun and easy. This is how anyone can write a book about their life. Every week, Storyworth will email your loved one a single life-related question that you pick from their collection, like, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? Or what's the farthest you've ever traveled? Then after a year, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories, memories, and even any photos into an exquisite hardcover book, creating a valued keepsake. A few years ago, we got my dad to pull together some of his stories with Storyworth, and y'all, I cannot tell you how awesome this experience was for us. Storyworth helped me pull memories and advice from him I would have never gotten otherwise, and his Storyworth book has become an instant family heirloom. Help your family share their story this holiday season with Storyworth. Go to storyworth.com/simplified and save $10 on your first purchase. That's Storyworth, STORYWORTH.com/simplified to save $10 on your first purchase. Storyworth.com/simplified. Do you like giving gifts that are truly unique? Do you want to find a white elephant gift that will absolutely be stolen, or a gift that someone can experience instead of something they'll never use? Then you definitely need to check out Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods has the best gifts for everyone in your life. I'm talking moms, dads, teens, in-laws, besties, whoever. And this isn't stuff you can just find anywhere. Uncommon Goods has unique and creative gifts, often handmade by independent artists and makers. You'll find something truly original, like a necklace with a pickleball charm for your friend who's obsessed, or a little cover you can slip your Ben & Jerry's carton into so your hands don't get cold while you eat. I mean, need we say more? So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/simplified. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. That's uncommongoods.com/simplified for 15% off. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. This holiday season, share the gift of health with Everlywell. Everlywell is digital healthcare designed for you, with personalized results and accessible tools for long-term health. With over 30 at-home lab tests like the Women's Health Test, the Food Sensitivity Test, and the Celiac Disease Screening Test, you'll be able to find the perfect one for you or your loved one. Here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything you need in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Then your physician-reviewed results get sent to your phone in days. Guys, I am a huge fan of Everlywell. I've used their food sensitivity test, the women's health test, and the thyroid test. My mom and I have both been on health journeys this year, so I'm going to surprise her with a women's health test to see how she can tweak a few things to help her feel like her best self. The gift of health has never been so easy to share than it is this holiday. For my listeners, Everlywell is offering a discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/simplified. That's everlywell.com/simplified for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/simplified. Number 3, teach kids that not all gifts require cash. This is something that we learn as we get older. Time is our most precious resource because we can't get it back. All we can do is manage what we have the best way we can. And when we realize that truth, we can see that quality time caring for people we love and causes we care about matters more than anything else. We can help our kids try to see this too. Encourage kids to give their time to others in whatever way is age appropriate. Maybe for the littles, that looks like helping one of their siblings master a life skill like tying their shoes. Maybe they could spend time with their grandparents, helping with little chores around their house, which, hint, hint, might be a nice transition into doing chores around your house. Start them off with grandma first because chores for grandma are fun. Chores for moms are meh. Then, as kids get older, maybe they could volunteer their time at an organization they care about. If they love animals, they could volunteer at an animal shelter. If they like to cook, they could volunteer at a soup kitchen. Kids can learn from an early age that they don't have to have a huge bank account to make a huge difference for someone. And that is a huge gift in and of itself. Number 4, talk with kids about how they feel after they give. Some of the most excited I have ever seen my kids is after they've given to someone in need or a cause they care about. I love asking them how they feel about themselves and the good they've done in the world. I watch their faces and hearts glow, and instantly I feel that glow around me too. One thing to remember here is that giving to someone else and thinking about someone who's in great need, especially if that's not part of your kid's day to day, it might be a little new for them. They may have some questions about that person's situation, like how a person found themselves without a home, or why an animal shelter might need to exist in the first place. When you check in with your kids, you don't have to poke and pry. Just give them space to express their feelings or ask any questions they may have. You can help them process any big stuff that might be going on in their brains, especially if being close to these kinds of hard things is new to them. You can assure your kids they are loved and safe, and that you and your home are a soft place to land with their big and small questions. Number 5, show kids the power of giving alongside other people. Remember my story about Pastor Tisdale and me laying in the bed at 1 a.m., having all of these big thoughts? Well, I have to tell you something about that. And honestly, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it makes me smile so big to think about it, because this was just an enormous thing that happened. And when I look back at last year, it is one of the enormous things that stands out as literally being life-changing for a lot of people, myself included. So there I am, I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about the Simplified sisterhood. And that, as you know, is what we call our friends and followers and customers and our community that we've built around Simplified. And I was thinking about how many of you have been such a force for good in your families and communities. And I wanted to see how much this community of strong, kind-hearted women could help another strong, kind-hearted woman who needed some help. And at the time, Pastor Tisdale needed a couple of these big climate-controlled storage units to keep all the food she was giving neighbors who needed it. And I'm talking huge storage units. They were like $8,000 each, because the crowds of people she feeds each week are massive. So in the middle of the night, I put up my Venmo and asked you guys to give whatever you could, whatever was in your heart, and I would match the first $1,000. I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning to a flood of small donations. I mean, I literally can't even tell the story without getting like a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes. It was like 75 cents, $5, $25, $3. And when I woke up, you guys had put over $8,000 in my Venmo. I went to sleep. I woke up. I picked up my phone. It said, you have $8,000. I was floored. I like burst into tears. My kids came running in the room like, why is mommy crying? What's happening? Oh my gosh. By the time I put up my SOS and then went to sleep, you guys had already bought Pastor Tisdale a storage unit. Literally, while I was sleeping. Little by little, the donations kept coming in. Like they just did not stop. The average donation that day was $15. And when we stopped the final tally, we ended up being able to gift Pastor Tisdale $35,000. $35,000, you guys. Oh my gosh. I still can't tell the story without tears, because it is just, oh my gosh, you guys. I'm going off script here because I just have to. It is so like wild to me. It's wild to me what one person can do, but it's crazy to me what a group of people who come together can do with what they have. Like those donations that came in that were like 97 cents or like $2.18. I just saw such decision in those. Like, this is what I have and I want to give and help. And I mean, yeah, I think that's why I get so emotional when I talk about this story, because I was changed. I am changed because of it. And we have not rolled this out yet, and it's not part of this podcast at all, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This is so important to me, and it is so much a part of my heart and the heartbeat of our Simplified Sisterhood, of this community, of our brand, of our team. We are starting a social impact program next year, and Simplified is going to be able to impact and give through your generosity, through your purchases and your support. We are going to be able to give to a lot of organizations that really, really empower women to do the good they do out in the world. Women who have gone through really hard stuff, and also women who just need support, right? So when I look ahead to 2023 and here I am talking about giving, that is something that just makes me so excited. And I can't wait to tell you guys more. All right, back on track. The video of me giving that check to Pastor Tisdale is saved in an Instagram highlight. The joy of that day will always be tucked in my heart. We were both in tears about what you guys did. Not only could Pastor Tisdale get the 2 storage units she needed, she could pay her mortgage for 19 months in a row. Still can't believe it. Little by little, people who give can move mountains. And that is what I want to teach my kids. That's why I want giving to be woven into the fabric of their hearts, of who they are as humans. Because people who give, especially when they link arms and give alongside other people, can help change the world. As we close out this episode today, what a special episode. I'm not going to cry doing this, I swear. But for whatever reason, this just gets me. This topic. I would like to say a blessing for you as we leave this time together and get back to our days. As we enter this season of giving, I hope your eyes are open to see who you can help. Your hands are open to receive new giving opportunities, and your heart is open to giving and receiving love from places you weren't expecting. Well, as always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we talked about today into practice. So here's your task for this week. Do you want to volunteer somewhere in your community, but you're not quite sure where to go? You can find an opportunity to volunteer at a website called Volunteer Match. Just type your hometown in the search bar, and you can choose from all kinds of ways to volunteer, from education and literacy to helping animals or other people in the community, and so much more. And if all else fails, ask around to see who your friends volunteer with. That's what I do. I guarantee it won't take you long to find a way to do good in the world. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Simplified podcast. My dog's in the room and barking, and Walter says thank you as well. I hope today's episode inspired you to help kids become people who love to give to others, and maybe even become one yourself. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast. And you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products, where we'd love to help you find the perfect holiday gift for your loved one. And if you like today's episode, I think you might also enjoy my brand new book called Sure as the Sunrise, 100 Morning Meditations on God's Mercy and Delight. You can find it right now at your favorite book retailer. Thank you for listening to this special show. Thanks for subscribing and reviewing. If there's something you're loving about the show, you can drop me a line over at Apple Podcasts. I read every single word and take them all to heart. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bye.